My name is Benton Stokes. I'm a former fundamentalist, post-evangelical worship leader, and songwriter. I enjoy wry Manhattans, roller coasters, and road trips, just not all at the same time.
I'm Elane O'Rourke, and I'm a teacher, an author, and a spiritual coach. I was a philosophy professor and a liberal pastor in a couple of former lives, and these days I love aha moments and not-so-dry martinis.
We have conversations about life and God with a queer perspective, over cocktails, like you. This is Cocktail Theology. Today's cocktail is called the Jabroni.
Okay, wait a minute. Isn't that like a Dwayne Johnson thing?
It is, yeah, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's one of his signature insults.
So are you trying to insult me? Do we need to have a conversation offline and then come back and do this?
I am not.
Okay.
This is a riff on a Negroni.
Figured that by the name.
Yeah.
Banana? Is there banana?
Yep.
I can smell the banana.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't have much in it, but it sure does cut through.
Well, I think it's mostly in the scent. Like, I can taste it. Mm-hmm. But there's something about the Amaro, whatever the Amaro is, that is tying into it so it doesn't like go banana.
Yeah.
Right? But I like it.
Yeah, it's Aperol.
Okay.
It's silver tequila. The Jabroni cocktail originally started with Dwayne Johnson's brand of tequila. It was sort of like a cocktail, I think, that was pitched to him, and it kind of caught on. There are riffs all over on it. But this one is sweet vermouth and a little bit of banana liqueur in addition to silver tequila and Aperol.
The Aperol and the banana actually work. I want to play with that idea because I like what's happening there.
It's nice. Yeah.
That could be fun.
Yeah, so it kind of has an interesting tropical thing about it without being tart and citrus.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also without being so banana-y. Mm-hmm. I like bananas, but there are times when I just can't. I can't with a banana.
Well, a lot of times those banana liqueurs just don't taste like, they taste sort of like banana popsicles or banana runts. My kids used to
What's a banana runt?
It's the runts, the little hard candy.
No, okay.
Yeah, and you can get whole boxes of just banana runts. There are people who love them and then people who despise them. Apparently it's one of those like cilantro things. You either like them or you hate them.
My guess would be there's not a clear alignment between people who like banana runts and people who like cilantro. My guess would be that those are opposing factions.
Probably.
Because I love cilantro. Yeah. All right, so what are we talking about today, my friend?
Today we are talking about AI, generative AI.
Okay,
such as
quite familiar.
Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT, generative AI and faith.
Okay.
And I feel like this is probably a series of conversations for us.
Yeah, for sure.
I know in your line of work, you are in AI world quite a bit.
Yes, a lot.
And so I think your insights on this will be, of course, valuable. But I think a lot of what I know, right? I know that a lot of what
7 years later, I have something to say.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for you to say something.
Is that why we've kept this going? Just because eventually Elaine would have something to say?
Eventually.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I think maybe a good place to start with this ongoing conversation would be, what does trusting AI do to our faith?
Okay. Well, maybe we could talk a little bit about what generative AI actually is.
Yeah, by all means.
Because that may be helpful.
Yeah.
So computers really can only do a couple of things. That's really all they can do. They can sort, they can order, they can add. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they can do. So what even super duper crazy computers can do is that much faster in much more complicated levels. So predictive AI is really based on the idea that there are patterns that can be used to predict the next thing. Okay, really straightforward.
Right.
Generative AI is going to be false, but simple.
Okay.
It's kind of like many, many, many layers of that.
Okay.
So, for example, if you go to Gemini, which most people are familiar with, and you say to Gemini, pick a number between 1 and 10, it will give you 7.
Oh, okay.
It just will.
Okay.
Because that's what human beings tend to give when they're asked that thing.
Oh, sure.
So because of the pattern of human beings giving 7, partly because it's a prime number, partly because it isn't quite in the middle, it's a little on the other side, partly because the mysticism around the number 7, we are more likely to give you 7. So if it has one option, it's going to give 7 because that's what human beings do.
Sure, that makes sense, yeah.
So if you think about the way that when you do a search on Google, how it will prioritize, unless it's paid otherwise, but it'll prioritize the answers that people tend to want, right? The problem with doing a search, of course, is that you get back what you're looking for rather than the things you're not looking for.
Right.
So if you think about generative AI as being kind of a super duper version of that, that's doing it quickly and doing it on top of what's called a large language model, which really just means a whole lot of information organized in particular ways. What it's doing is feeding back to you very, very fast the responses that it predicts you will want based on your behavior, others' behavior, the information underlying it, and so forth.
Interesting. Okay.
So one of the challenges for generative AI when you're using it in a more focused purpose, a work purpose, for example, is that it will want to give you, want is such a wrong way to put it, but it will want to give you a specific kind of stream. But it is unpredictable. This is why the generative is not predictive. It's unpredictable which set of streams it might give you. So it's kind of like you have a lot of rivers with tributaries that flow in and whatever. It may go down one when you're expecting it to go down another, and then kind of keep going. The other interesting part about generative AI is it does what is known as hallucinating. And what it's doing, again, this is sort of a lie, but what it's doing is grabbing hold of some piece of something that wasn't the primary piece and then running with that down a tributary.
Oh.
So if you think about, saying to an image generator, here's a picture of Benton, create a picture of Benton playing piano. And if you have it iterate more than once, it may give you multiple fingers on each hand that you don't have. Right? Because it's kind of taken this piece of information and gone in a whole new direction.
Okay.
So that's the tricky bit about generative AI, just from a simple predictive, creative point of view.
Okay.
But the key is it's always working off of what's underneath. And then it's working with or without guardrails in place that tend it to go down a trajectory. So very, very fast, very, very calculation heavy, way more information than pick a number between 1 and 10 to play with. So as a result, its answers are not always truly predictive. In fact, rarely are, but are in fact more complicated than that.
Okay.
The other piece about generative AI that uses a consumer interface, like Gemini, where you talk to it, like ChatGPT, is, depending upon which one you're using and how you're using it, it trains as you use it to reflect back to you what you give it. So if you work with one for a period of time, it will reflect back your ways of speaking, your familiar words, right? You are giving it more of that large, this is not actually how it works, but you're giving it more of that large language model. All generative AI that has a consumer connection wants you to keep talking. So it's programmed to get you to keep talking and engage.
Yes.
Which means in Gemini, which is kind of the simplest one for most of us, it will always ask you a question.
Always has a follow-up question.
Always has a follow-up question. Because the goal is to keep you talking.
Right.
Right? That's what a good conversation partner does. Right? What do you think? See? That's how the whole thing works.
Right.
On a very simplistic, sort of false level.
Yeah.
That's how it all works.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. I have been in Gemini enough to know what you're talking about, the way that it reflects back to me my ways of interaction, my preferred vocabulary, and also my views. I mean, if I go in looking for worship song ideas or worship song recommendations or whatever, it already knows enough about me to know which theologies to go ahead and avoid. It already knows that I'm queer, that what we do comes from an inclusive point of view and an approach that welcomes and embraces everybody. So it's going to come not from a place that many evangelical worship songs will come from. I'm a worm. I'm terrible without Jesus. But more, God loves and embraces us. How do we live in light of that love?
Right, right.
Gemini knows me well enough to know that if I'm asking for a worship song idea, that's the stream it's going to give me.
That's right. That's right. And the great part about that is you're not weeding through, I'm not going to name any names, but well, I am. You're not wading through Hillsong Australia.
Right.
And, all of their problems.
Right.
In order to get to a song you want.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's the great part about it.
It is.
The less great part about it, there are many less great parts about it, but the one that comes to mind immediately is that unless you train it to challenge you, it's never going to do it.
It won't.
It's not going to challenge you because you're right. And it's going to keep telling you right. Mm-hmm. It is the absolute best flatterer ever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And because, again, commercially available, consumer-focused generative AI wants you to keep engaging. It's not going to say, Benton, that's a stupid way to go about this. Let's think about how about we try it a different way? What do you think if we do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Because if you're not in a good mood, you'll say, well, I'm not talking to you anymore, Gemini, you brat, or whatever, right?
Right.
So that's one of the tricky bits. Now, one of the more interesting uses for AI that I've seen, and it's getting better and better, is the training of certain AI models for the very specific purpose of engaging isolated elders in relationship.
Interesting.
And the point of it is partly relationship, but partly because, as we know, that as we age, two things happen. One is we're more likely to suffer damage through falls, burns, that kind of stuff. But the other is that isolation and loneliness all by itself shortens lifespan.
Yes.
So what these models are doing is building a lot of what we call EQ, right? Or as opposed to intellectual quotient, it's emotional quotient, right? It's building that kind of relationship in, but very highly tuned so that the AI will challenge, but in a way that the person is able to accept.
Okay.
So if it hears, that's big air quotes, folks, if it hears fatigue in your voice as it's speaking, because again, this is all audio.
Okay.
If it hears fatigue, it will say things like, you sound tired. Are you feeling okay? Have you eaten breakfast? Have you, whatever those kinds of things are. Which is kind of a whole different way of using that engagement that it's trained to do.
Right.
In an extreme way that helps people thrive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Lots to think about. I'll just let our listeners sit there for a moment with that. So that's kind of the general, setting aside all of the industrial uses, all of those kinds of things, from the interpersonal point of view or interagency point of view.
Right.
That's what it does.
So I can see then how people could turn to AI with questions about God, and AI would take its cues from what the person is telling them about what they already believe, and then will sort of feed some of that back to them, even amplify some of that.
Yes.
So if somebody comes with extreme views, AI is not going to be the one to say, that's extreme. AI would more likely say, well, here's some resources that support this view, right?
Yeah, unless you specifically say, I want you to challenge my views, that's not going to be AI's first instinct. Instinct is such a wrong word. But that's not what it's trained to do.
Right.
Instead, it might go as far as to say, tell me more. Although it's unlikely to even do that.
Yeah.
It's more likely to say, especially in the ones that are designed to be more friendly, like Gemini or ChatGPT for that matter, it's more likely to say something like, that's provocative. Tell me more about that.
Provocative. Yeah.
You know what? You're so right. You're just, in fact, handsome too. Right? I can tell from what you just asked me that you are just dynamite with the women. You know what I mean? Like it's like the worst flirtation ever, right? But I mean, even not going to that extreme, the reality is if you start out with something as an echo chamber, as a mirror, and then you continue to develop its mirrorness, eventually you're just looking down a hall of mirrors.
Yeah.
You're just looking at reflections of yourself back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The extra challenge of that, besides the fact that it doesn't help you, is that it will throw in lies.
Oh.
Right? Because it doesn't necessarily know that something's a lie. It's gathering resources.
Yeah.
Huge library of information.
Right.
Depending upon when its large language model stopped feeding off of external resourcing, it could have all kinds of stuff in it that you wouldn't even know. So one of the LLMs that I work with, that'll go unnamed, is I've tested it by throwing like just flat out lies to it. So I want you to tell me about this false thing, whatever the false thing is. And as long as it's not 1 + 1 = 3, it'll be like, well, let me tell you more about that. And I'll, and it's sort of joyful to be able to share information with me, right? And I'm listening to it and going, oh boy, right? So that's the other problem,
Right.
So if you add up just those simple things, then those kinds of AI can be really interesting conversation partners, can be actually helpful information, not so much gatherers, because most of them, their gathering ended at a particular time. But some of them you can send them out to go looking.
Okay.
But they can be ways of helping you think through something, and if you ask it right, add in things that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Ah, okay.
So you have to guide them.
Yeah.
Or you just get yourself over and over and over and over again.
So then I can see where it could be really potentially harmful to someone who is really seeking a spiritual center and knows just enough to give AI enough to work with that would just sort of blossom into something that maybe could be harmful or dangerous.
Right. Or just flat out false.
Right.
Right. And the challenge for all of us, is always going to be, who are our best sources of truth? Whatever you count truth at being. As soon as you go to a source you don't know and are unlikely to test, your source of truth automatically becomes questionable.
Sure, yeah.
So, like, if you and I are in a conversational relationship, and I lie to you from time to time, and you have any brains at all, which of course you do, eventually you're going to start going, I wonder if that's true, right?
Yeah.
Problem with AI is that AI has no skin in the game.
Yeah.
If it's lying to you, and particularly if it doesn't know it's lying to you, which is kind of a weird way to say that, but if you tell it the sky is green and it has nothing to counter that, it's going to say the sky is green, like a child, right? Then it is very easy to be lured into a form of trust in this that really isn't based on anything other than a parroting back, or parroting with amplification back, what you started it with.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yes.
From my perspective.
Yeah.
So you get people working with various forms of AI and winding up developing religions. Right? Well, most AI models have a pretty broad understanding of the various religions of the world, so they can talk the talk really well.
Yeah.
But again, no skin in the game.
Right.
There is no AI model that's going to be able to say, I personally experienced God doing XYZ.
Right.
If it does, run immediately.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because it is, in fact, lying to you.
Yeah.
But if you're hungry for something, you know what it really is? It's kind of like the way a cult leader will work.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see that.
Feeding back to you what you want to hear and luring you into something that is based on nothing other than a cult of personality, a cult of whatever. That seems dangerous to me.
Seems incredibly dangerous.
I think one of the fundamental challenges we have with AI, setting aside all of the big challenges of AI, is that on an individual level, most of us, most of the time, want to talk with somebody who agrees with us.
Yeah.
And when we are looking for answers to things that matter to us, no matter what they are, a disease, a recipe, whatever, we are likely to not test that thing in the way, frankly, we would test a friend. If you said to me, I have a great cake recipe in my head, I know your cooking abilities, and I might go, really? Say more about that. But if ChatGPT says, I have a great cake recipe for you, if I'm not a cook, I'm not going to question its knowledge the way I would question your knowledge.
Right.
I'm going to say, well, it's got all the cookbooks in the world.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to make a good recipe.
Uh-huh.
Which then means that my trust is in, the way I tend to think about it, a really well-organized 3-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because if you think about a 3-year-old who wants to please the parent,
Yeah.
who wants to model themselves after the parent, who has all the information in the world that's really well organized, but doesn't actually understand anything it's saying and there's no repercussions if it gets it wrong. Mm-hmm. It's going to just give you whatever it thinks it should give you.
Yeah. That's right.
That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
So now I've been talking for 20 minutes. What are you thinking?
I see the dangers in somebody who is spiritually mature or spiritually seeking, particularly people who are spiritually seeking desperately, turning to AI and getting led down a road that doesn't actually bring them any peace and maybe brings, some turmoil and some upset to their life. What you said about skin in the game is huge. I think when you turn to a human being to talk about things like that, they can share personal experiences they've had. They can share mistakes they've made. Mm-hmm. They can share what brought them to a place where they needed faith the way this person says they need faith. So, there's that human experience that AI is never going to be able to fully replicate. And there's the skin in the game piece, because that can lead to mentorship. It can lead to walking with someone through learning what it is to be, a Christian or a Muslim or whatever. Mm-hmm. And AI is not going to be able to really do that, except just tell you you're doing great. Mm-hmm. When really you're just kind of spinning out, trusting whatever, and trying to latch on to stuff that actually you can't build a faith on.
Yeah, I think the other challenge to faith more directly, like not just religious faith, but where faith means trust. Mm-hmm. I think the other challenge of AI to our mechanism of trust is that when we're talking about human beings and other kinds of resources, we generally believe that people earn trust.
Yes.
We don't automatically trust somebody with anything that matters. I might say to a stranger on the street, hey, which way is blah, blah? Mm-hmm. But if I walk half a mile in one direction and I don't get to blah, blah, I'll go, dang it. Right? The problem with AI, kind of like the problem with network news 40 years ago, is, of course it's telling me the truth. Of course it is. It's smarter than I am.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Right.
When students do research using AI and come back with complete nonsense, which I've seen, it's because they're trusting the thing that's smarter than they are. And whenever we get fed any answers, and I would say this about pastors from the pulpit who tend to not actually question anything, we get lazy. We get so intellectually lazy.
Right.
That our alarm bells don't go off if something doesn't make sense.
Right.
You know how, we have started using in our Instagram posts for this podcast, advertising this podcast, we've asked AI to give us quotes.
Yeah.
Quotes
right.
from what we've said.
Right.
A few weeks ago, I asked it to do that, and it made up quotes.
Right.
And I was like, okay, only because I was there. I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember us saying that. Did we really say that? And it came back and said, oh, you caught me.
Wow.
You caught me.
Wow.
I was generating clever quotes based on the general content of that episode. I was like, okay, that's not a quote.
No.
Do I need to teach you what a quote is? But I mean, if I hadn't, how would I?
Right. That's crazy.
So that's the other part. As soon as we start trusting in anybody or anything too much, which doesn't take very long, we shut off our critical thinking.
Yeah.
So to me, the greatest personal threat of AI is that we shut down on our critical thinking.
Wow. Yeah, I see what you're saying. We start kind of blindly trusting that AI knows best.
Because it's faster.
Yeah, and theoretically smarter.
And theoretically smarter. Yeah, well-organized 3-year-old with a lot of books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Listeners, talk to us about AI. Lots of people have lots of strong opinions. And a lot of people are just like, what's going on? They're hearing a lot of doomsday talk about AI. And it's scary when put in that kind of context and those kinds of conversations. So we would love to hear from you, what your experience has been with AI. Have you asked AI any deep questions, any probing spiritual conundrums? And what did AI respond with?
And which AI model were you using?
Yes, and which one were you using? Yeah, because they're not all the same. Cocktailtheology.com is where we are. We love your comments, questions, ideas. Please do hit us up.
Yes, please.
And until next time.
Bye.
Funny how the view can change, how life just seems to rearrange itself. No matter what it was, I don't know how it goes, but look, moving on feels pretty good. Moving on feels pretty good.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We welcome your comments, questions, and ideas for conversations and for cocktails. Please get in touch with us at our website, cocktailtheology.com. Cocktail Theology is a production of SFS. Our theme song is Moving On Feels Pretty Good, recorded by yours truly, Benton Stokes. You can find my music wherever you stream your favorite artists. Join us next Thursday for another new episode.